4 in the afternoon. Maayong hapon sa kanatong tanan. Good afternoon to everyone who is listening to us right now. Daghang salamat sa inyong pagpaminaw sa atong programa. This is the UGG show, the Ulipon sa Gugmang Giatay show. Yes, we're all slaves to love, and this particular episode today, December 20, we're going to talk about how we are slaves to the love of or for our favorite artists, our favorite bands, our favorite singers, kanang mga gitawag na to og mga super fans. We are kind of slaves to them, right? We do whatever they want us to do. We show up in all of their concerts and buy and gobble up whatever they want us to buy, and so on and so forth. And there are specific names for these so-called super fans, right? Pananglitan, kanang mga beanie fans, they're called blooms, right? Kanang mga BTS fans, they're called ARMY, diba? Kanang mga SB19 fans, ikaw may SB19 fan kayo kaning Raf? Unsay nga sa mga SB19 fans kay Raf?
Ang tawag sa mga SB19 fans kay ang mga 18.
18.
Spelled nga murag atin ang spelling niya.
Okay.
Pero 18 daw ang pag-pronounce.
Oh, and then kanang mga Taylor Swift fans like my daughter, mo na gitawag na to og mga Swifties, right?
Mga Swifties.
And many more, right? They have their own names. Usually, their name is, mura na siyag giimbento na sa grupo mismo o sa isad, ang artist mismo o ang management sa artist mo yung maghimo-himo og mura og ngan sa ilang mga fans, di ba? So, kana sila mga fans, grabe gyud na sa tanan bay, like pananglitan na ay concert, full force gyud na sila. Kung na ay album, paliton gyud na nila. Kung na ay t-shirt ibaligya, horot yun ang t-shirt, and so on and so forth. Grabe gyud na sila kag gitawag nato og super fan. Mura na sila kaning mura na sila attached to the hip. Mura na sila kaning murag obsessed bitaw?
Yeah, in a way.
Obsessed kaya na sila sa mga artist. So, ang akong una yung pangutana ba, because I have been a super fan too, right? And I don't know about you, Raf. Maybe I should ask you first, or maybe our listeners. Kamo diha ba, mga listeners nato, mga viewers nato. Are you guys a super fan of what particular artist, musical artist, a solo artist? Are you a super fan of Beanie? Are you a Bloom? Are you an Atin? Are you an ARMY? Are you a Swiftie? Unsa kay nang fans sa Blackpink? Can you look it up?
Okay, one more.
Unsa kay nga sa mga fans sa Blackpink, mga Blackpinkers or whatever? So I'm probably not correct, but if you're a Blackpink fan, maybe you can tell
Blinks
us.
though.
The Blinks. Are you a Blink? Okay, or whatever fan you are. So maybe you can tell us, why are you a super fan of this particular band, of this particular vocal group, of this particular artist? Nga naman nga super fan man ka. Ikaw, Raf, we talked about this earlier, and you said you have no particular affiliation with a particular musician, but you have non-musician. You're a fan of certain non-musician artists, right? Or celebrities, right?
Not artists particularly, pero I do follow a particular esports team.
Esports. Okay.
Yeah.
Unsa man nga esports team?
Okay, they're called Los Ratones.
Los Ratones.
Unya,
nganong sige man ka og follow ni ani nilang grupuha ngano man?
Okay, sa kaning group kay initially ni sugod kog follow sa ilaha kay they're kind of they initially started as what do you call this? There's 3 former professional players sa ilang group, 1 aspiring professional player, and a rather famous League of Legends streamer apil silang group. So they're kind of like they were initially considered like a content team. Like they got together for the sake of making content together, basically. But they wanted to compete semi-professionally. So ni apil sila kaning mga lower tier professional leagues, and they performed surprisingly well. And yeah, initially people had their doubts because the famous streamer sa ilang grupo, he's kind of known for kanang playing a very weird way of playing the game. And yeah, some people viewed it as kind of detrimental to the success of their team, ang iyang play style. And then people had doubts on whether or not ang iyang style mo translate siya tarong sa kanang professional nga level of play.
Mm.
And so far, they've done nothing but surprise everybody with. I think they out of all the tournaments that ilang join, they only lost one major tournament, which was the last tournament of the year nga ilang giapilan this year.
So nganong super fan man kay kaniya lang? Like, how are you a super fan? How do you exhibit your fondness
Mm.
of this group?
Well, primarily, it's by consuming their content, especially particularly ang ilang main social media page sa Facebook, sa YouTube rather.
Mm.
I always every time they post a video, I'm there watching it. Even their like for fun content.
Mm.
And not necessarily their main content, which is like League of Legends related content. I'm also watching those. I was already a big fan of some of the players in their team already, like their talents and their team. Like I was already following them back when they were professional players, and back when these guys were like streamers.
Mm.
I was constantly watching their stuff. So the fact that all of them kind of got together, it was like, oh wow, oh, this is good for me because I followed 3 of the 5 players on the team. I was already watching their content, and the fact that they got together, it was like, oh, this is good for me because I already watch these guys' content, and now they're all in the same team, so I can show my support to their organization by basically watching their content.
But there must have been like a moment, right?
Mm.
Or was it like a kind of slow burn? You didn't become a fan overnight. Warag naghinay-hinay lang until you became a super fan.
Well, yeah, definitely. It was more of like the latter, ang parang slow burn, where initially na curious ang jud ko, like how are these guys going to perform? Is it going to go well? And yeah, they started off kind of slow, especially with their practices. You could clearly seeing chaotic pa kaayo and all that. But then when they started figuring out a winning culture, so to speak, sa ilang team, it became much more entertaining to follow on the weekly basis when they were posting their content, and I just highlight after highlight, funny moment after funny moment. It was a joy to watch.
How long have you been following this group? What is the name of the group again?
It's called Los Ratones.
Los Ratones. And how long have you been stalking them, following them?
Stalking. I think they start. Plans for the team forming was announced last year.
Okay.
Pero the full roster got together sometime at the start of this year. I think it was maybe sometime January or so.
Okay, so
I started
kaning
really following them.
Kaning Los Ratones, they're not the only gaming group, right?
Mhm, yeah.
And durag daghan man kaini sila, di ba? Kay uso man kay narong
Yeah.
gaming esports, di ba?
Yeah.
Why this group in particular? Why not other groups?
Well, kanilang jud is they are still an aspiring professional team in a way. They're still not considered a professional team yet, although they've been invited to play in the largest what do you call this, professional tournament in the European region.
Mora kag maka-relate nga mora sila they're just starting out in their gaming careers like you, who's also like a fresh graduate, and you're also starting out with your career. Is that the murag sort of like the connection? So what do you think is the connection? Have you figured it out?
Okay, connection. Well, maybe it's mainly because like I said earlier, out of the 5 players sa ilang team, I was already following 3 of them and watching their content
Individually?
Yeah, individually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so kay kanman 3 of them are former pro players, and then they kind of like two of them stepped back from the professional scene, and then they went into content creation. The other one went to a different place. I think he went to Korea for a while. and I was like following them individually already. So when they got together, that was like, oh, okay, this is nice. Like three of these guys I already know. I already follow them, and I already consume their content.
Okay.
So I'd like to see how they pair and
So
all that.
so what kind of murag kind of super fan behavior do you exhibit? Like, do you feel kind of off if you don't consume any of their content in a day or in a few hours? Like, do you always want to know what's happening with them? And would you pay good money if you could afford to watch them if they visit here in the Philippines, or perhaps they have an event that is close by the Philippines? Would you do that? Would you spend time and effort and money to go watch them?
To watch them
Play?
like play live.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely would. And
Okay.
if I could, I'd go all the way to Europe
Mhm.
and watch them play live sa kan ang gitawag nila nga kan LEC, which is like the biggest European
I ask you that.
professional
I ask you
scene.
that question because most of the super fans that I know, especially kanang mga musical fans, ba,
Mm-mm.
they really spend money to watch them
Yeah,
perform,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
mga concerts, kanang mga bangles. What do you call those?
Basta like mga merchandise.
Mga merch ba?
Oh, yeah.
O niya kanang those lighted sticks.
Oh, kana.
Grabe jud kayo sa nanya, mga t-shirts and all, right? And they even have like a certain dress code of some sort, di ba?
Sometimes.
So
Oh.
they really spend a lot. And literally nagbuhi sa banda ang mga super fans kay mo man
Yeah.
dili man mo muundang og gasto para sa ilahang fans, especially sa kaning gitawag na to og K-pop, di ba?
Mhm,
Grabe
yeah, yeah.
jud kay ni sila ka kaning rabid nga fans, grabe jud kay
Yeah,
sila
yeah.
ka unsa tawag na ka emotionally attached, di ba? Ikaw,
Mm-mm.
have you ever spent good money for Los Ratones, this gaming group that you're a huge fan of?
Actually, no.
Okay.
Kay they do have like ang ilang merch po. They do have a
Okay.
merch store.
Okay.
I guess pwede po siguro kung order
Mm-mm.
if ever. Pero when they started out, I was still a student and I didn't really have much money, so
So kani sila when they formed together as Los Ratones, you were already there. You already knew of this group even before.
some of their players,
and
yeah.
when the first time that they sort of banded together as a group,
Mm,
you were one of the perhaps one of the first fans, right? Of the group, perhaps, right?
probably,
right?
Mm.
Okay, because I think that is also a kind of feature of super fans. Ba, mura bitog, they feel a kind of affinity with the group or the artist. Kaya murag sila ang nakauna bitaw.
Oh, lagi.
Mura bag ilang
napoy na na.
murag territorial ba ako this is mine. I saw them first, right?
Oo, nabitaw mo yung
I am already a fan of Taylor Swift before Taylor Swift was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Before she was big, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Most na nitabon ako because also like all of you guys, I'm also a super fan. By the way, I'm going to ask you guys, what kind of super fan are you? Kinsa man nga banda? Are you a Bloom? Are you an Atin? Are you an Army? Are you a Swiftie? Once again, ang Blackpink ba? Kalimot ko da.
Blinks.
Are you a Blink? What kind of fan are you? Let me know. Okay, join us in our conversation. What kind of fan are you? Let me know. Join us in our conversation at Tops Media Center on our Facebook page. Okay, we're talking about super fans here. I'm a super fan of the band U2, right? I don't know if you guys know about U2. Maybe the newer generation does not, but U2
Maybe.
U2 is the greatest band of our generation. I think. They're like the Beatles of our generation, right? And one of the reasons why I'm a huge fan of U2 was because I was one of the first. At least I feel like I'm sure it's not true, but I when they first came out with a song on the American Top 40 charts, I was one of the first to be a fan. Their debut song, their first ever song, right? So I have a kind of affinity with them because I was one of those who thought that they were cool before U2
Yeah, yeah.
became cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So mo na siyang ang feeling ba nga kung makauna ka sa usa ka butang, mura kag naa kay affinity, naa kay mura og connection ba, mura you have a kind of ownership, right?
Yeah.
But ownership ba nga, like this is my little thing,
Lagi.
I'm a huge fan of this. But see, the thing is, what happened to me was I'm still a fan of U2, right?
Mm.
And I still, I have I gobbled up all of their merch, right? Like shirts and records and all of that
Mm.
stuff, right? And concerts. But karon ba, like I think I probably outgrew them.
Mm.
But like I'm still a fan, but like I'm no longer a fan of anything. Maybe it's probably a feature of old age, right? Pero like I'm not I'm probably more a fan now of podcast hosts. There are still podcast hosts that I would pay good money to watch, right?
Mm.
But in terms of bands, maybe I've shifted, right? But I'm
Maybe.
I'm still a super fan, but not necessarily of musicians anymore. Although
Mm.
I can still consider myself a fan of U2, but I would not spend good money on them anymore. Because
Mm-mm.
their concerts
Yeah.
cost like an arm and a leg, right? Grabe yung mga kamahal ba yung mga concerts ba, di ba? Especially if
Mm.
it's big bands like U2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think depending on ang tawag na ang recognizability sa
Mhm, mhm.
name sa group kay ang the tickets the pricing of the tickets will just skyrocket because
Correct.
of that.
Correct. Grabe jud kay kamahal ang sa tawag niya ni ang presyo sa tickets. So you guys, if you want to join our conversation, we're talking about super fans. Atong Ulipon sa Gugmang Giatay show. We're all just slaves to love and we're going to talk about how much we're slaves to our what do you call that? Our fondness
Mm-mm.
to artists, musical artists like solo artists like Taylor Swift or Swifties or groups like Atin or
18.
or
18.
18 is from SB19 or Blooms
Mm.
from fans of
Bini.
Beanie, or perhaps if you're a fan of BTS, you're called an army, and so on and so forth, right? Akong feeling sa ba, mura man siya, it is a kind of cult. It's kind of cultish, right? Murag
It kinda
cultish
is.
ba?
It kinda is.
It is cultish, di ba? Murag, it is a kind of religion if you think about it, right? Right? Grabe yung kayo ba? Grabe yung kayo murag gigil sila, di ba?
Oo,
Yeah.
naiuban din sa ilang nga grabe ka overly zealous
Oh,
pag
di ba?
kayo.
Di ba? In fact, we were able to kind of experience a bit
Part
of
of
that
it, yeah.
because we did a kind of
Poll,
poll,
yeah, reaction poll.
reaction poll on our Facebook page.
Mm.
Tell them the story about what happened. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we did a reaction poll lang just to just to kind to weigh in on some what we thought was a bit of a trending topic,
mhm.
and with the growth of P-pop, or Filipino pop, Pinoy pop, or I forgot which one is the actual term, pero P-pop, with the growth of that, we wanted to see like, okay, this is something that's really popping right now. I wonder. It's something like we ask ourselves internally, but we're like, I wonder which is a more popular group. Is it Beanie or SB19? So we put out this kind of like this kind of poster on Facebook, and then we're asking that question. Basically, react this for Beanie, react that for SB19. And the post didn't immediately get a lot of traction, but when it did, we got so much traction from the 18 nga fans, the SB19 fans. And yeah, grabe jud kaayo, like they were really mad about one of the comments we made when the post was fresh. Okay, when the post was fresh, we were kind of getting like a very balanced mix of SB19 and Beanie fans. And in fact, at one point, everything was tied. It was like 20 reacts for Beanie, 20 reacts for SB19. And a day later, when the post became a bit viral, okay, people were for some reason getting mad over that comment, even because the polling had already shifted very heavily in favor of SB19. Like mura jud siya ni landslide og kalit para sa SB19 ang support ba, ang voting rather. And then they were for some reason really mad about katong comment nga niya na nga. So far it's a tie. Like guys, we made that comment a day ago, 4 days ago now, and for some reason they were getting mad over that. Yeah, a lot of them were sending like direct message, "Bubo mo. Anong tie? Where's the tie? Are you stupid?" They were like sending direct messages like that.
Ngano man na ba? Ngano man may? Why do you think that is the case? Why do you think they become kind of aggressive, right? Ngano man na siya? They're probably just defending them like their brothers or even worse, like it's them that's being attacked. Unsa man?
I don't know. Maybe they view it that way ba nga. If our group isn't the most popular group, then that's they're insulting our group.
That's blasphemy, right?
Oh yeah, we're gun. Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah, you cannot blaspheme against our idols. We're ginana ba?
Yeah. Unya usasad bay. We were talking about it off cam and off mic. Ano bitang gitawag nila og parasocial relationship. You've never met these people personally. You know, you don't know them. They don't know you. But you know them only through the radio, through the music that they play, through the podcast that you listen to the interviews that you watch, right? And it feels like you know them personally, right?
Yeah.
You think like you have a relationship with them, right?
Yeah.
So kung makita mo na mausay makakita ka nga, kinanglan gyud na gyud na security, babagan gyud na kay basig duulo nagkalit nga mulamano nagkalit or worse gakson nagkalit, di ba? Because they feel so close to them, right?
Lagi. That's a real problem because and it's a real security risk put because just recently this year this is something that even smaller time celebrities like internet celebrities, they can experience this too. And ang kanang gitawag na to nga TwitchCon, there was a streamer by the name of Emiru who Emiru who like nag fan meet and greet sila dito sa event ba. And unfortunately, somebody walked up to Emiru, grabbed her, and then forcefully kissed her.
Oh my God! Okay.
Yeah, so it was very, very bizarre experience. Just seeing it, how much more for Emiru?
Yeah, pero see, that's the thing. I think that's kind of weird ba, and a weird dynamic ba, because if you're an artist, if you're a performer, if you're a personality, the whole point of you singing, the whole point of you performing, the whole point of you talking is to be appreciated, is to be loved, right?
Or to entertain, something
and
like
to entertain and to be liked at the minimum, right?
Yeah, lagi.
So kung mo work ang imuhang charm nila, then it is not impossible for them to feel like they know you, like they're probably in love with you, or they probably think that you're best friends, or whatever weird close relationship they think they have of you, right? Because you know them so well. Like, you know where they live, you know what their favorite food, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
So that's really a weird dynamic, and it's not the fans' fault also, right? If you think about it, because maybe they got carried away by your
charisma,
your riz, right?
Yeah, your riz,
right?
You riz them up too much.
Isn't that true? Isn't that why these artists exist in the first place? Because they have super fans like these. If they don't have these, then maybe they'll they won't sell anything anymore. They won't fill out stadiums or sell records, right?
Yeah.
So these super fans are actually the lifeblood of these artists.
Yeah. I definitely agree. They're the lifebloods of the artist.
Okay.
And you bring up a very interesting point when you said they know so much about these artists because all the interviews that they do, kanang mga one-on-one sessions where they talk about parts of their personal life and all that. So naadji some people who especially if they're a really big super fan nga, every interview mo tanaw sila, every video nga imong iput out mo tanaw sila, every tweet you make mo basa sila and all that. So they think
I'll be watching you sounds like a song from the Police, right?
So mukhang sila, they're gonna think to themselves, "Jud ba nga,
Dili mo
I know how they think."
mo switch yung camera ba?
What do you mean?
Dili mo there switch day.
Oh yeah, guess which mo go.
No, I'm just wondering ba.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so they know so many of these mga personal details about sa imuha, but then the other way around, it's not true because the artist doesn't know you. That
Exactly.
They don't know a lot of in the same way that you know them.
Yeah.
So that your personal information isn't known to them. So you guys have a very kanang weird nga
Relationship, right?
relationship, Jud.
Yeah.
And I guess in a way there's something really unnatural about it, diba? Maybe this is like the fact that it's so one-sided just brings out the certain weirdness in some people, I guess.
You know, I remember one of my favorite lines in the Marvel universe when Loki once said with his stick, he said, "You are made to be ruled." So maybe that's part of us that we need we need to look up to somebody. Like we need a kind of figurehead, right? We need a kind of somebody to elevate. You know what I mean? I remember. Not now. This is coming back to me. I remember when I was in high school. I used to have like posters, huge ass posters of artists, like musical artists. I remember it was the 80s, right? So it was like the British invasion.
Yeah.
So daghan kay mga British bands nga sikat kayo atong una katong mga Duran Duran, mga Culture Club and all of that stuff. I had their posters on my wall, right? Did you ever have that phase in your life? Now you had like kind of posters or stickers or whatnots on your wall or whatever.
Unfortunately, no, and it was mainly a financial barrier to participating in that type of culture. Pero I guess if you consider collecting wallpapers, part of that.
Yeah, wallpaper. Yeah.
Yeah, I did have a certain phase like that as well.
Kinsa man imong gi-wallpaper?
Oh, this one is more like it was my enjoyment of anime.
Oh, si kinsa man.
It was a fairy tale.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of it, pero it was one of the it was the first anime nga I started following consistently. Every new episode I would watch, every new chapter of the manga that got released I would read. So it was the first anime jud nga that really got me into anime and manga culture.
Yeah. You know what? I just realized that I'm such a huge super fan of U2. I remember I would quote lines from their songs.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? When I talk, like because these guys who had they had very profound and poetic and sometimes philosophical and religious songs, right? Because they're an Irish band, right? And they came from Ireland's right smack in the middle of the Irish, Protestant versus I think Catholics war or something like that,
something
right?
like that.
There was great religious strife in Ireland, so they came off of that. That's why their music is kind of emotionally and spiritually charged, right? So I would quote songs like them, something like and I still haven't found what I'm looking for, with or without you, and all of these songs. So my life actually it wasn't just about the music. It was also about their thoughts that seeped into my lexicon, my thoughts, because they've become a huge part of me, and I've been listening to their music for a long time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I guess that's also perhaps a crucial part of super fandom. Ba. It is probably deeper than just how good they look, right? Or how great they sound. I think the connection has to be, deeper. And mura kog amigo goodbye nga, mura kag iba ka ng amigo nimo, amiga nimo nga dugay na kayo mo nagstoryanay, dugay na kayo mo magkuyog-kuyog, maglaglaag. Kung mawa na sila mingawon ka, di ba? I think it's similar to that, right?
Yeah.
Dugay na kay kag paminaw silang music, matanaw silang concert, mapalit silang whatever, matanaw silang mga interview. Niya kung for example na walay internet or whatever, or you you have no electricity and you have no access to whatever. So murag mingawon kanila. I think that's part of that, right? Like these are actual friends of yours, at least in your mind, that are far away.
Yeah, I guess that's really one way of looking at it. And it kanang mingahon kanila pod kanang feeling makuha nimo, especially if you haven't seen their content in a while or something like that. You haven't listened to their music in a while. I guess you could really get that feeling, and that's probably another big reason why people like to bring up how nostalgia is being kind of commodified a bit, no, these days.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the day grunge died. They called it Kurt Cobain. When Kurt Cobain died, I know a lot of my cousins cried. You know, like because because they're like huge fans of Nirvana, right?
Yeah.
So you know when when John Lennon died, you know people were crying and all of that stuff. So grabe jud kayo ka mura og close ay mong feeling nila ba. You've never met them, but makahila ka when they die because you're super fans of Kurt Cobain, pananglitan, di ba? And so when they die, it's like a friend of yours died, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the same was the case when Michael Jackson died. I think there was a lot of people all around the world who were crying over that.
Yeah. So how about you guys? Are you a super fan of anything in particular? Are you a Bloom? Are you a Atin or 18? Are you
18?
Are you a an Army? Are you a Swiftie? What kind of super fan are you? Magstorya na ita, maghisgot ang ano man, what made you become a super fan? Maybe there was one particular moment, one particular song, or maybe there's something about the person or the group that made you love them. Why did you become this super fan of any particular group or any particular anything actually? Unsa man ni siya ang ato ang mga listeners and viewers? What did they say? Go ahead.
Well, we have some comments here sa atong Facebook Live na si Jan Rawitan yan na siya nga Gorillaz super fan here.
What made you become a super fan of the Gorillaz?
Genre.
Si Jonas Sugar minudo ko na siya nga kuan nga super fan.
Minudo to Jigs.
Oh. Kanang minudo kuan na siya kaning before there was the Backstreet Boys, before there was NSYNC, before there was One Direction, before there was BTS, there was Menudo. This was the early stages of boy bands.
Huh?
Grabe ni sila. This is from like the early 80s or maybe even late 70s.
Wait, that's a boy band name?
It's a boy band, Menudo. That's actually a Puerto Rican, murag kaning South American boy band.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought he was talking about the food here.
Well, yeah, it is the food also. so akong masabot ba when I mentioned to you nga I actually quote lines from songs of YouTube. So it's not a one-sided relationship. You know what I mean? I mean like what I mean. It is still a one-sided relationship.
It's definitely one-sided.
But what I'm saying, I'm not just giving to them. I'm also getting from them. You know, I'm also learning from them. I'm also using some of the songs that they made and incorporated it so my life is I can figure out my life. My life is easier to deal with and so on and so forth. So it's not all just me giving to them. I'm also getting something from being a fan.
So, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why fandoms can get very very zealous, I guess, in a way, because a lot of them really resonate with the messaging, some music, with maybe you're a fan of a particular author, and then very direct ang iyang mga messaging and all that, and their works. There's also that you can derive a lot of meaning from these small phrases and all that. I've seen a lot of people like try and nag-dissect gani sila sa mga songs, and kada stanza, kada kaan kay i-break down nila unsay possible nga meaning ani and all that. So yeah, makasabot jud ko sa imong point nga, you know, we're getting something from this relationship in a way. Pero you know, it's still one-sided in the sense nga you know them, they don't know you, kind of thing.
You know, I remember when I Show Speed was here, right? Grabe jud kay murag nabuang ang mga tao, nagsunod-sunod niya. You know, from El Corso down there all the way up here when he landed here in a chopper. Grabe jud kay bye yeah. Kaning I think he's one of the pioneers I heard of this whole live streaming thing, but I don't know if this is true. But he was he was famous for it, right?
Yeah.
He would
Yeah.
live stream and all of that stuff, right? So kanang with the advent of the internet ba, has it muraog made more super fans than more than before? Nga, there was no technology like the internet that allowed artists to reach out to their fans even on a deeper level.
Y- maybe.
Mm.
Okay, especially with like how streaming works, there's a lot of kanang direct na interactions.
Mm.
You can comment sa ilang mga live stream, and then sometimes they'll even reply to your comments.
Mm.
You have the option to pay to send a direct message that nga kaan merg it will mahimo siya voice message pud ba.
Mm.
And then there's that, and then they can hear your message, and then they'll reply to that.
Mm.
So it's no longer necessarily a one-way stream nga communication.
Mm.
It's very kana it's two ways, and then there's direct communication, and yeah, I've seen people get very parasocial
Mm.
when with their relationships with streamers. How much more actual celebrities who stream? Because there are some celebrities who also stream.
Mm.
I know the lead singer of Panic at the Disco, si Brandon Urie. I know he streams every now and then.
Mm.
I don't, dili man ingon nga kon all the time.
But is he back?
What do you mean?
Panic at the Disco, right? Because I
Yeah,
think he sort of stopped making music because he was going to focus on his family. His wife just gave birth or something like that.
Mm.
And I think this was like a few years ago, and he said he was gonna like retire from music. Is he back? Do you see him like recently? I'm just curious.
I actually haven't had any updates with regards to Panic at the Disco recently. Maybe he's just stuck to streaming. I don't follow his stream either. So
Makabantay juga ba yung super fan ng usa ka tawo ba kung magsuryanay mo pananglitan? Akong daughter Swiftie magina, di ba? Unya kaning usahay, just for conversation ba when we have dinner, ako siyang sugsugon usahay, like one of the things that Taylor Swift does not acknowledge, is that she's lucky. And then, and she, a lot of her success is also about luck, right? Because she's not the greatest singer in the world, she's not the greatest composer in the world, but she's the biggest star in the world, and a lot of that is luck. And then she was in a tirade, man. Like she would what? Yeah, she was on defensive and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you can tell if a person is a super fan, right? If you say something contrary, or if you criticize their favorite whatever, and then ilang dipinsaan, di ba? Murag like it's like they're being attacked personally.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's a great thing for the artist, right?
I think it's a great thing for the artist,
Yeah.
but for the person who's a super fan, maybe not so great.
Pero speaking of super fan gone wrong, but do you remember? Can you look it up, bro? Because I know the story, but I really don't know the details of the story. I know that the person who killed John Lennon was a super fan.
Gone. I think I heard about that as well. Pero
So-
he wasn't a super fan of John Lennon, I think.
Okay, anyway, maybe you can Google that. Anyway, among hisgutan karong hapuna is this, okay? Ulipon sa Gugmang Giatay show. We're talking about super fans, okay? Because we are all super fans of something. What made you a super fan of your favorite band, your favorite artist, your favorite, I don't know, vocal group, your favorite gaming group, your favorite TV show, artista, whatever. Ngano man nga na super fan man kanya na ang niya, why would you go through great lengths to protect your favorite artist? What would you do in the name of your favorite artist or whatever you're a super fan of? Okay, who's the supposedly supposed murderer of John Lennon? Kinsa man ni siya? Rap?
Okay, so his name was Mark David Chapman, and then I stand corrected.
Okay.
He was a supposed fan of the Beatles,
Okay.
but grew to hate Lennon in particular, seeing him as a hypocrite for his song Imagine and the lyrics in the song versus his wealthy lifestyle. And then apparently he was influenced by J.D. Salinger's novel The Catcher in the Rye, which he wanted to emulate. And he also disliked Lennon's more popular than Jesus comment and book detailing Lennon's excess. seeing it as evidence of Lennon being a phony.
So muna siya nga nituo siya sa gipangsulti ni Lennon as gospel truth unya when he saw that he wasn't living his music na suko siya.
Yeah.
And that's why he assassinated him.
Something along the lines of that.
So mo lagi, but that's actually a super fandom gone wrong. But most of the time, you just get a lot of money, right, from these super fans, right?
Something like that.
That's why these big artists don't mind having super fans.
That's another aspect about it that I guess we haven't really tapped on that much. Pero part of the problem sa kaning this one-way relationship that fans can have with kaning mga artists and celebrities is that a lot of the information that we don't sometimes we don't really realize, but a lot of the information that we get about them, it's very curated. So a lot of the times, especially now, it's ang kanang makuha ng mga information, it's given out to the public intentionally to give you a particular image of that person. And sometimes ang kanang image na imong makuha about that person isn't actually who they are. So when part of their real personality starts coming out, that's when you start realizing wait, is this person who I thought they were? And then naay more cognitive dissonance, and that's why it does lead some fans to go a little bit, irate or a bit angry, get angry, and maybe they end up taking out their anger
because they
like
feel
this guy.
Because they feel like they know you, right? And once you exhibit signs of the opposite of what you preach or what you sing, right? Then mura masuko na sila nimo na noon ngay. You said enani paghuman you're not doing this, right?
Yeah.
So mo lagi imo pagtuo nga kani sila imuhaning amigo, imuhaning barkada, imuhaning igsuon, di ba? Nga makasayon-sayon lang kay istorya nila, but the truth is kani ilahang manggipangsulti ang ilang gipakita sa publiko usahay curated na siya, meaning to say nga katurang mga nindot nga parts. Usahay hinimo na lang uban gali. Some of them are probably not true. And some of the songs that they're even singing, perhaps they're not even written by them, right?
Yeah.
So ana bitaw nga grabe kay ka-attached sa ilahang personality sa ilang mga kanta niya pagtuo nimo nga ang ilang gikanta mo sa na ilang gibati. It could also be nga sila gasuwat pero fictional lang, di ba?
Oo.
Posible po, di ba?
Yeah, like they never actually meant what they said or what they wrote rather. Or ang ilang kanta, ang ilang gisuwat sa ilang kanta, it's more of a reflection of what they were feeling at that time, and then their feelings have changed. Something like that.
What's the craziest thing you've ever done as a super fan, you guys? I want to know. Jonah Sugar, si Janro, ang atong mga kaigsunan diya sa TikTok. I know you guys are super fans of maybe perhaps Beanie or Blackpink or Taylor Swift or SB19 or the other groups, the other artists, right? What's the craziest thing you've ever done as a super fan? Join us in our conversation. We're at Tops Media Center on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, right? And on TikTok as well. On those platforms, you can chat with us. Just type in the comment section. What is the craziest thing that you've ever done as a super fan? Sometimes a person does not have anybody to look up to. Maybe they have no figure in the family that they look up to, perhaps. So they just resort into becoming super fans of like artists, singers, and all of that stuff too, right? It's probably also a huge part, right?
Yeah, I definitely can see that. Sometimes maybe some people who grew up in maybe broken homes and all that, kay wala sila tarong parental figures. So
well, it doesn't have to be a broken home. It could be both of the parents are there, but they probably don't look up to them.
Yes, that could also be the case as well. Pero whatever that may be, like they don't either they don't respect their parents or they don't have a lot of love for their parents or something along the lines of that. And then they see these figures that they think are more admirable at the very least.
I think I think I'm gonna have to push back a little bit. I think manggod kanang musicians manggod if you're a kid, it is a kind of a rebellious act manggod. You like this band because the parents don't like this band. Because when you're a teenager, when you're a certain age, diba? Uh, you're kind of rebellious, right? You're becoming you're
Yeah.
becoming your own person, right? And most parents uh think that the best way to raise their kids is to become like them, right? They
Mm.
can't help it, right? Part of having kids, part of that is actually a kind of narcissism too. Like they're raising little me's and little you's, right? But
Mm.
the truth is, they're becoming different people, right? So kanang mga bata, kung bata pa ka na yung mga kantang ganahan mo, dili gyud na siya cool kung imong mama o imong papa ganahan og YouTube, di ba? You know what I mean? So karon of course dili na cool kay mga mama ug papa maganang YouTube mo na mga bata
Mm.
dili sa ganahan og YouTube, right?
Uh-uh.
So mo nang kung ako ganahan kog Taylor Swift, mura pog maew mo ana pod ang ako ang daughter, but the truth is that I'll tell you a little story. I actually asked her to prepare for this show a few days ago. I asked my daughter, why did you become a fan of Taylor Swift? She
Mm.
told me, Dad, you gave me the Red album. You introduced me to Taylor Swift. I didn't even know that.
Oh.
I didn't even know that I was the one who introduced her to Taylor Swift, the music of Taylor Swift.
Oh, really?
That's why she became a super fan. So now, Dabi education is like she knows everything about Taylor Swift. When she breaks up with her boyfriend, when she had this new softball
Football.
guy. What's his name again?
Travis
Kelly.
Travis Kelsey.
Whatever
Kelsey,
whatever
yeah.
his name is, right? And when she has a new album out, when she has a
Mhm.
new documentary and so on, and she has a new concert, she even knows. Like
Mhm.
she's in Japan now. You know what I mean?
Oh gosh.
And all of that. So she's really she's a true-blooded Swiftie, right? So,
Yeah.
but what's wrong with that? What's wrong with being a fan? As long as you don't hurt them, as long as
Mm.
you don't hurt yourself, as
Mhm.
long as you can still function
Yeah.
like a normal human being.
Yeah.
Isn't that a great thing to be a super fan of? I forgot to mention I'm a super fan of the Los Angeles Lakers, and that's a basketball team, right? I actually
yeah.
get ticked off, and I'm in a bad foul mood if the Lakers lose, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that's a super fan.
Yeah.
right,
yeah.
right?
That's,
And
that's another form.
Yeah, that's another symptom of the disease, right? so yeah. At least you have something to cheer for, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Should we always have something to cheer for, to look up to wake up to in the morning and read the papers and look at the sports section and see what's up with my Los Angeles Lakers or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that? What's wrong with that? What do you think could be wrong?
Well, yeah, I could definitely agree, Kan. It is another form of being like a super fan, being a sports team's fan or
Yeah,
a sports player's
yeah,
fan.
yeah.
And I wouldn't call it another symptom. I'd call it another variation of the disease.
Okay. Of the UGG disease,
yeah,
right?
yeah, of the UGG disease.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say there's anything kanang inherently wrong about being a fan, about being a super fan. But I think why super fans can have this like a bit of a negative connotation to the term. Kay a lot of people tend to be kind of super defensive and super obnoxious about ang ilang gi-idolize nga person or group. And it can come out in a variety of ways. Like, for example, a lot of people like to make fun of LeBron's super fans.
Like you.
Yeah.
Aren't you a LeBron sexual?
Yeah. I am what they call a LeBron sexual.
No,
And
explain to everybody what is a LeBron sexual. You're a super fan of LeBron James. We're talking about super fans here. It could be a super fan of a music group. It could be a super fan of an athlete. It could be a solo artist like a Swiftie or a Bloom or an Atin, right? So ikaw, you're what they call a LeBron sexual. What is a LeBron sexual? Is that a kind of nod to metrosexual? What is that? What is that?
kind of. It's just. I guess it's another way of just calling people who are fans of LeBron gay.
Okay.
Or something along the lines of that. But
Okay.
it is a kind of funny term that kind of picked up on the internet,
Okay.
and a lot of the LeBron fans have kind of embraced it as well.
Okay.
They're like, oh, I don't care. I am physically attracted to LeBron or something along the lines of that. And nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. That kind of thing. And Yeah, kind. It's just something. A lot of being a big fan of LeBron. It's just. I think it's more because of the. I think probably the term probably popped up because of a lot of the debates, the GOAT debate in basketball between
Kana,
LeBron
dati
James.
sa debate sa, di
Yeah,
ba?
yeah. Grabe kay siya, like the LeBron James versus Michael Jordan nga debate. And it's I genuinely think the term bronsexual was started by a Michael Jordan fan
Ngano
who,
ba? Ngano?
who hates LeBron's fans and thinks that LeBron's fans are obnoxious people and he just wanted to make fun of them ba.
Ngano man ba pasabta ko no ko. Ngano explain to me nga pananglitan na ay mo attack nga, you know, LeBron James is not the greatest of all time. It's Kobe Bryant. Like or it's Michael Jordan or whatever, right? Do you feel the need to like defend LeBron James? Is that part of being a super fan?
For me, no. I actually do not get into that debate a lot.
Okay.
In fact,
How do you
ang
exhibit your
akong-
fandom day?
Okay, I exhibit my fandom by primarily, supporting LeBron.
Okay.
I was genuinely wishing he would win a few more championships, so
Yeah,
he would actually, nudge a bit closer into the GOAT debate.
Yeah,
Maybe win more ground, something like that.
Yeah, because that's really the sort of like the crux, right, of the GOAT, right? I think Michael Jordan has 6 crowns and LeBron only has 4 or 5.
Yeah.
4, right?
Four.
Four.
Oh.
So equal to Kobe, right?
Yeah.
If he wins 1, he's more than Kobe's, and if he wins 2 more, he's equal to LeBron James, and he's the greatest scorer of all time. Thus, he becomes
higher on the con. He has a lot more to. There's a lot more arguments in favor of him sa GOAT debate.
yeah.
Pero one thing I've been listening to so many GOAT debates for a while now, and I really come to this conclusion as a LeBron fan that I would say LeBron is probably the most complete player we've ever seen in the history of basketball. He's tall, he's athletic, he's fast, he has good IQ. He can shoot the ball, although it's regressed a bit now that he's gotten a bit older. But he could literally do a little bit of everything, and he could do it to a very high level. But I would still, and I'm saying this as a LeBron fan, I view Michael Jordan as the GOAT because his legacy is just way more impressive than LeBron's. He has more scoring titles. He won Defensive Player of the Year, which LeBron never has. He scored more than LeBron. It took LeBron more games and more field goal attempts to break Michael Jordan's scoring record than how much it took Michael Jordan to get there. There's just a lot of things, and the fact that he's 6 for 6 in the finals, like 6 finals appearances, 6 finals championships. It's very hard to argue that LeBron has a more impressive legacy. That's why a lot of the debate right now, actually, like if you look at a lot of the media outlets that LeBron has friends in, a lot of their arguments right now are like they're trying to like shift or they're trying their very best to argue in favor of LeBron's legacy more so than what he's doing on the basketball court right now.
Kanang argument about athletes ba? It's kind of easy to argue because na may statistics, di ba? Na yung mga percentage, number of points, and so on and so forth, di ba? Pero kanang artist ka ba? Kanang singer ka? Like, how do you argue? Like, pananglitan, SB19 is better than Beanie or whatever, right? Unsa man like how they have more hits than Beanie? Is that the way they argue? Like, how does it work? Have you gone into the mind of a super fan? Maybe you guys can help explain to us, right? Unsa man niyo pag discuss unsa pag debate ninyo who's better, right? Ang basketball sayo ra kay
nice stats.
Nice statistics, good. Klaro kayo 6 rings. 6 championships si Michael Jordan. Si LeBron James only 4, right? Although LeBron James is the greatest scorer of all time in the NBA, right? So that counts for something too, right?
It does.
Balana said that those are bullets to the debate, to the argument. Pero kanang mga singer, how do you debate, right?
Yeah. Well, You're right about one thing. Sales. That's something that I see a lot of fans bring up as well.
Grabe, grabe
Sa
sa
kanang
gina. Yeah,
sa
grabe sa
mga
gina.
debates.
Palit
And
gid
then
sila.
yeah, and also awards.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this artist has way more awards than your artist. It's like, yeah, that's
Mm.
also part of the debate. Another one that I thought was like a really smart debate, because somebody tried to make the argument that Beyonce is now a more popular artist. I know, no, not Beyonce. Taylor Swift
Mm.
is a more popular artist right now than Michael Jackson ever was. And
There's an argument to that, yeah.
yeah. And I think somebody shut down that argument very, very quickly. He said simply, I forgot who it was, but what they said was basically along the lines of, I are there, when Michael Jackson was at the peak of his popularity,
Mm.
you could go to some of the most remote places in Africa.
Mm.
These tribes with no connection, with no electricity, no internet. They knew who Michael Jackson was. You go in there and you're like, Michael Jackson. Ah, yeah, we know who that is.
Mm.
You can't say the same for Taylor Swift.
Why is that? Why do people know Michael Jackson before the internet, when access to information, access to videos, perhaps was not as omnipresent now
Mm-mm.
as the internet, di ba?
Yeah.
Ganun sa Manila pakibaw ni Michael Jackson kung wala TV dito silang lugar, pananglitan.
Probably like the how were musics sold
Like on the radio, siguro, di
yeah,
ba?
there's the radio, and basically all the older mediums of media.
Mm.
Maybe people were also bringing physical copies and then
Or-
literally
or
playing them in those villages.
Or it could be that they actually also went to those places, right? It could also be that, right?
Could be that. But they were trying to, basically the argument was like the reach of Michael Jackson as a cultural icon is just so much greater than Taylor Swift, even to this day.
No, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I actually don't see. I'm also once was a Michael Jackson fan, right?
Mhm.
To a certain extent, I still am. But I think grab video says Taylor Swift. By like, I went to a Korean restaurant. I heard Taylor Swift. I went to a Starbucks. I heard Taylor Swift. Like what the hell? I can't escape Taylor Swift, right? You know what I mean? So grab video kayo ang ato ang embrace ni Taylor Swift, but I think is total. Grab video kayo sa nanbay, like from old to young. In the same way that people embraced K-pop. Like katong BTS, and
K-pop Demon Hunters.
K-pop Demon Hunters. Grab video kayo ba? How about you guys? Join us in our conversation ato ang Ulipon sa Gugmang Giatay show, the UGG show. We're talking about super fans, the love of super fans, how much they love their favorite artists. Let us know, what kind of super fan are you? Are you a Atin? Are you a Beanie? Or a Bloom? A Bloom? Or a Swiftie? Or an Army? Or what's a Blackpink fan again? Blinks. Let us know. Manilin Dakayan, Kim Christina, AJ Francisco, Carmel Navarro, Danilo Anilod Vlog, Daghang Salamat, Roladel Vallejo, Hoy Bia, Helen Sales, Daghang Salamat, MJ Namoli Nomatine, ang atong mga tigpaminaw ug tingpananaw sa atong YouTube channel, Jury Fundal, Zyrene Jane Manuel Pacheco, and Danilo, si Sugar Jonas, and to Janro Viton. Daghang salamat sa inyong pagtanaw sa atong programa nga gitawag natong the UGG show, the love of super fans. What kind of super fan are you? And what made you become a super fan of that particular artist or that particular athlete, perhaps, right? Ang usa sa siguro na I think is also about kaning relatability. Diba gahisgot mata na ganihan, diba? Nga murag kag makarelate ba? Naay mga aspects of a person's life, perhaps of an artist's life nga you can relate to. Yeah, murag it is like you're living vicariously through them ba? I think that's also part of that. Diba? For example, you're not an athlete, and you're not a basketball player, but you feel like you're Michael Jordan, for example, and all of that, and his story. He came from nothing, and he became this guy who has like a very humble beginnings and all of that stuff. And you'd like his story to be your story too somehow, right?
Yeah, something like, yeah, I've heard people saying that's probably why to an extent Curry is got a lot
Stephen Curry.
yeah,
Okay.
Steph Curry got a lot of popularity. It's because people view his skill set as relatable. He's not that tall.
Mm-hmm.
He's not that athletic.
Correct.
It's just that he works on shooting the basketball and he does it very, very well. He can, and he's the greatest shooter in NBA history. And a lot of for a lot of people, they view that as a much more attainable skill set
Correct.
compared to becoming a LeBron James.
Speaking of attainable, Kobe Bryant, right? Kobe Bryant, his shooting percentage was lower than Michael Jordan, right? And he got caught up in this whole controversy involving a masseuse, right? And he was accused of sexual harassment or something like that, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And he became even more popular because of that. I remember Bill Clinton. He was accused of sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah.
In his second term, he was even more popular, right? I think what happens to these artists, these people, these figures, is that they become more relatable the more human they appear to be, right?
Yeah.
So mura sila, like he's human after all, right? So murag mas makarelate ang mga tao ug usa ka tawo nga naay mo exhibit og features mga pareha nila nga tao sana sila.
Yeah.
Maayo mo basketball siya pero masayo po na siya, di ba? Maayo siya nga presidente pero masayo po siya, di ba?
Yeah.
I think that's part of that too, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. And the fact that people can be more flawed, it's something that people find they can easily relate to that kind of stuff. And I was just thinking about it when you were bringing up like flawed characters. I think that was part of the reason why as well for like almost throughout its early run, Marvel was more popular than DC.
Okay.
Because Marvel, they weren't they were one of the first to like give their characters faults. They started depicting Iron Man as an alcoholic.
Well, wasn't Batman the original
Flawed
Cape Crusader dark character?
Yeah,
Who was flawed.
He wasn't necessarily he was much more if you look at like the earlier TV series about Batman, but it wasn't necessarily like, oh, I'm dark, I'm brooding. It was more like kind of wacky-ish because it reflected a bit more of.
You mean like the original comics? You mean?
No, I meant like the older
the movies, na?
No, not was it movies? It was more, I think it was more like a series. Like I forgot what was the name of the actor. The one where it's like kind of like a really old Batman series.
But it was like the Batman Forever that made him like kind of dark, right?
Yeah.
He was the Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
He kind of what's his name again? The director? Forgot his name. I always forget his name.
No, that became the shift.
The trilogy, right?
Yeah. That became like the shift in comic books. Well, DC kind of doubled down on this kind of like higher than these figures that are higher than thou.
So kanang si Batman dili din na siya dark in the comics days.
Earlier on they focused more on.
He's literally Dark Knight, right?
Yeah, but he used to be He used to have like a blue cape.
Ah, really?
Yeah, he wasn't always black, and he wasn't always dark and brooding. And when they started out, they kind of focused more on the fact that he was the world's greatest detective kind of thing, and they focused more on he wasn't always kind of dark and brooding like we know him now. But I think it was really Marvel that made it so that their characters started having flaws. They started having defeats, and defeats that were permanent or long lasting.
Like Superman's dead, right, or something like that.
That's one of them, yeah. Pero the very first one, which is considered like the death of the golden age of comics, when the heroes could do no wrong, and the start of the Silver Age, it was Spider-Man and when Gwen Stacy died, because there was like when what seemed like a very permanent death in the Spider-Man universe when Gwen Stacy died. and it was long lasting because they killed her off, and then they had to introduce somebody else, and that's when Mary Jane came in.
Interesting. So part of why we can relate to a character is that they're also
Flawed.
like us,
Mm-mm.
flawed, right? So muna siya, I think it's also important. But karong in this day and age, in 2025, of course, there's a limit to the flaws that people can accept, right?
Mm.
I mean, like if you're P Diddy, if you're if you're what's his
Jeffrey
name?
Epstein.
Kasi nga na niya, Bill Cosby,
Oh yeah,
right? Then that's another story, right? Like
Yeah,
I wonder what the limits of the flaws are, right? Like unsa man nga klase nga flaw nga imuhang i-accept or i-tolerate sa mga fans, unsa man nga flaw nga dili na gyud. Like parang litan si P Diddy. He was still I mean like he had flaws, but he was still kind of a respected figure until he got caught, right? Like he went to jail, right?
Yeah.
So I think is that part of the your star losing its luster when you go to jail? Is that when does it begin that it's that too much of the flaws that you're exhibiting are overshadow your legend or your myth and so on?
Well, in PDD's case, it's not that he started to lose his luster when he got caught. It's more like he started to lose his luster when people found out the degenerate and really, really vile things that P. Diddy was doing. And another thing about it is that, especially what's been revealed recently with the 50 Cent documentary series, is that the accusation that P. Diddy orchestrated the killings of certain key cultural figures in the rap community as well, and all that, like Biggie and Tupac, apparently, or supposedly, according to the documentary. That's the accusation being put out.
So there are limits also of what you can exhibit, your flaws, or what kind of human being you are, right?
Yeah.
Past a certain point, then goodbye, right? I mean,
Yeah.
people cease to become to be super fans, right? Pero so nang grabe jud kay ka mura og manufactured ka protected anang mga bands like Beanie. I remember they have to sign like a contract, like a no boyfriend contract or whatever. You know what I mean? So their personalities are very curated, right? Because you have super fans, right? And the moment you exhibit a flaw, perhaps, diba? That's why their personalities are actually under contract.
Like
you can't be masungit or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, right?
Yeah, you can't be cutesy because that's the other girl.
You're the sporty girl,
You're
right?
the sporty girl.
Oh, now you're revealing to me you're a Spice Girl fan after all. Okay, guys, I think we have to go, but please continue this conversation. What kind of super fan are you? And what made you a super fan? Are you a fan of the band Beanie, which in this case you're called a
Bloom.
A Bloom? Are you a fan of Blackpink? In this case, you're a
Blink.
An SB19 fan. You're a
18.
A Swiftie, a Taylor Swift fan. You're a
Swiftie.
Gabiha ka fan aning gano ni Rafi. Oy, Rafi. If you're a fan of Raf Chavez, you're a.
You are probably
Rafi.
Nobody.
Okay, guys, please join this conversation. You can always make your comments, and maybe we will continue this conversation of our episode on UGG show, The Love of the Superfan. Stay tuned for Angela for Overdrive coming up next. Get ready.